inspiring. Well, that was a lot of fun.
You're watching CTV Sports. Yeah! Let's go!
How's it going, Rams? Welcome to the Monday Night Sports Show. I'm Litos Castro.
And I'm Jessica Mendoza. Litos, how could we start off the show talking about anything other than football? Let's get right into it. So we're going to start off these highlights here with the very first play of the game. Here we have Hill. He's going to hand it off here to Marvin Kinsey. Kinsey breaks through, and he is off to the end zone. Nobody's going to be able to catch him here. That's going to be the first touchdown of the game. Rams come out strong, looking like they want to prove that they have what it takes to beat Arkansas here. But Arkansas says not so fast. Quarterback finds him near the end zone, falls into the end zone, and that's going to be a quick response from Arkansas. They really want to have a competitive game here, and they prove that here.
Definitely, and it's going to be a tight game for this first half here, and you'll see that in this next play. Arkansas, they've put some more TDs up on the board, so CSU has to respond. Colin Hill off to Warren Jackson. That's a beautiful pass, beautiful score, touchdown, and that's another 6 points up on the board for CSU. But they still have to keep going because Arkansas will eventually put another touchdown up, so Colin Hill, one of his last plays before getting taken out of the game, QB sneak up the middle, another touchdown for CSU to keep responding.
That was a good response there. Now we have Patrick O'Brien in for an injured Colin Hill. He's going to swing left outside of the pocket, throw the ball down to the sideline, finds Dante Wright, and he stays in bounds. He's going to head down to the end zone. This is going to give Ram fans just a little bit more hope for the rest of the game, but it's not going to last much longer, Litos.
Unfortunately not. Arkansas will eventually respond, and you'll see it right here. It's going to be a pass off towards the sideline. That's going to be Cheyenne O'Brady. He's going to take on one. You know what? He wants more. He wants 2, 3. You know what? Why don't we throw in a 4th and a 5th? And it's still not going to be enough. And he's going to take it all the way down for a touchdown. And you can see that's just the dagger right there in the CSU spirit. And you'll see that in this next play here. CSU is going to have to respond. They need to get it back on offense. And it's just not going to go how they need it to. It's going to be a pass off to the side here, trying to run forward. Arkansas forces a fumble, picked up by Ladarius Bishop, and he takes it back for another score, inevitably the final score of the game, giving Arkansas that win at 55-34 over the Rams. And Jessica, that's just a tough one for the Rams. You see in that second half, they just lost a lot of the momentum that they had. They stopped being able to respond to Arkansas in that second half.
Absolutely, and I think the big thing here was the turnovers. Marvin Kinsey had a great game, 180 yards on 20 carries, but the 2 turnovers that he had were in the worst times possible, and they were huge, and that's making everyone overlook the great performance he had.
Definitely. I mean, those turnovers, you really see the impact there. I mean, even CSU was able to score off one. That was that Colin Hill QB sneak, but that defense in that second half, and especially after losing Colin Hill, you really saw that energy level go down on the Rams there, and it is tough to lose a quarterback, and you see it having an impact on the players there in that second half.
It was definitely devastating. We saw the offense not be able to jive as well in the second half with Patrick O'Brien. Nothing against him, but they should have been prepared for this with all the injuries that Colin Hill's gone through. They should have been prepared for something to happen, and it just didn't look like they were.
Definitely. But the Rams are going to have to see if they can bounce back when they come back to Fort Collins at the end of this week to face off against Toledo, see if they can keep that undefeated streak going here at home.
Absolutely. Well, while stats are important when analyzing the game of football, players like sophomore Rashad Ajayi remind us that so much of the work they put in on the field isn't recorded on the stat sheet. Last year, Ajayi started all 12 games, the first true freshman to start in every game since Rashard Higgins in 2013, and he's proven himself as a leader of the Rams' defense.
Rashad's a quiet guy, but I believe he's become more vocal in his second year. We've got a lot of young DBs, and they look to him. And he has come out of his shell a little bit and become more vocal. As far as the leadership, he's one of our team leaders and has done a nice job. The other would be I've seen him add some muscle to his body. He's 10 to 12 pounds.
And here's what Ajayi had to say himself about being a leader.
It means a lot to me knowing that Bobo looks at me as a leader. Because coming in last year, I kind of just stayed quiet, just wanted to do my job and contribute to the team. I just look up to the guys that was here last year and the older guys that's here now. Last year, Jordan Fogle, he was a leader, but he wasn't a vocal But when he said something, he meant it, and it meant a lot. So I want to be that type of leader. I want to just be the rah-rah, just always talking. I just want you, when I say something, I want you to know it really means something.
While there was a little trouble out of state for CSU, the women's soccer team was writing a different story back home. This past Friday, they had one of their biggest matchups of the season against the University of Denver. The Pioneers ended up outshooting the Rams 15-8. had 4 corner kicks while the Rams had none, and even showed more discipline on the field with only 5 fouls to the Rams' 11. However, 8 saves from Gavin McDonald and a strong defense allowed CSU to bring the game to overtime, where they would find that late game magic once again. 1 turnover, 1 pass from Taylor Steinke, and 1 Kaylee Lordman shot equals 1 overtime win for the Rams. That would be Lordman's 5th goal of the season and 3rd game winner. The team is now 4-1-1, the best start in program history. But Jessica, that wasn't the only action that we had last week. Why don't you tell us what else happened?
Yes, Litos, what's better than winning back-to-back volleyball games against your rival? I seriously couldn't think of anything better for Ram fans. The volleyball team started off the rivalry showdown in Moby Arena, where they knew it would take strong serving and serve-receive to get the Buffaloes out of system. And the Rams did just that, keeping CU to only 12 points in the first 2 sets. The Rams swept their rival at home for the first sweep against the Buffaloes since 2010. The challenge continued, and they needed to keep the focus and drive as they traveled down to Boulder for Game 2, which would turn out to be much more of a nail-biter for both teams. It ended up being a 5-set match, the first one of the season for CSU. The Rams started off cold with only 11 points scored in the first set, but once the second set begins, they were off to get that trophy, winning the 5th and final set 15-7. The victory would be considered an upset, as Colorado was previously ranked number 19. However, now Colorado State has moved into the rankings at number 22, completely knocking the Buffaloes out of the ABA coaches poll. Now everything seems to be looking up for this volleyball team, because Brianna Runnels has collected her first double-double of the season, which earned her Mountain West Offensive Player of the Week. And Lito, surprisingly, this was her first time receiving this recognition.
You know, honestly, I'm surprised. Yeah, like you said, I was a little shocked to hear that this was her first time getting it. She puts in a lot of work every season, so I think this award is well-deserved. I think she definitely earned it, and she put the work in to get this award.
Yeah, I agree. She's definitely a huge role player on this team. I couldn't believe this was her first time getting the recognition, but definitely well-deserved. Well, the Rams will host another in-state rival this week against the University of Northern Colorado for their final non-conference game of the regular season. Well, up next, I'll be taking a break, but this guy right here is bringing back Castro's cut, so we'll be right back.
So, same time next week?
Well, of course. Put away a few bucks, feel like $1 million. For free tips to help you save, go to Feed the Pig.
Well, Thomas, you've got pre-diabetes. But with more exercise and a change in diet, it can be reversed.
I've tried exercising. It just makes me hungry for bacon.
I love bacon, too. And who really likes to exercise?
Not me.
Me neither.
Nobody. So we're good?
What? Oh, you still have pre-diabetes. Big time.
Hello again, Rams. Welcome back to Castro's Cut. I am still Litos Castro, and we are going to go down the run-through of what's coming up in CTV Sports this week. So without further ado, you know the drill. Let's get rolling right into it. We're going to start off with the soccer team. Like I said, they had a big weekend taking down DU this past week, so we're going to see if they can continue on. So taking a look at their first game of the week, it's going to be on Friday. They're taking on Valpo right there. That game is going to start at 6 in the evening for you. Then on Sunday, they're heading over to face off against Marquette. That's going to start at noon. These are some big games for you before they come back home again to see if they can keep their winning record going. And we're going to look to see how the head coach, Bill Humpman, is holding on to his team right now. But we're going to keep moving forward. The football team is also looking to make progress. Like we said before, they're facing off against Toledo this upcoming weekend. That game is going to start at 8:15 in the evening. It's going to be a late night, so I hope you're ready for it. It's going to be a tough one for the Rams. As you saw, tough loss to Arkansas, but they're going to see if they can bring it back, especially after losing their Colin Hill quarterback right there for you. And then finally, we finish off with the volleyball team also making some big plays, taking down their rival. They've got a few matchups coming up this week. Let's start off on Wednesday. CSU taking on the in-state rival versus UNC. That's going to be at Moby Arena starting at 7 in the evening. And then the very next day on Thursday, they're taking on Cal. That's going to be also starting at 7 in the evening also at Moby Arena. And like you guessed it, it's going to be some big games for them as they start moving towards the tougher games. Now that they're ranked, they've got something to prove. And then finally, they have one more matchup coming up. It's going to be my game of the week this time. They're going to be taking on Oregon State again at Moby, again at 7 in the evening. This is a big one. So, as it's my game of the week, I want to see if I can bring in a little extra perspective. So I'm going to bring on a friend of mine, Rachel. Please come on up here. Thank you for being here.
Yeah.
Break it down for me. What are going to be some of the keys for CSU to do well in this matchup against Oregon State?
Yeah, of course. Well, I think first of all, we need to talk about their offense, definitely. I think the first key to the game is definitely going to be the fact that they have aces up their sleeves. If players like Brooke Hudson keep hitting her aces like she did against CU this past weekend, I think that's going to keep the energy for their offense and keep them rolling in that perspective. I think also at the same time, they're going to need to utilize their outside hitter, Brianna Reynolds, definitely. She leads the team in kills every single game. This past weekend, she hit 14, and then she had 16 against CU. I think that if they keep using her, it's definitely going to be a big difference to their team, and I'm not surprised that she got Mountain West Offensive Player of the Week this week because of her hard work. And lastly, I think we definitely need to focus on their defense. As long as they outblock their teams or their competition like they have been doing the past couple of games, I think that they're totally strong on that side, and they're going to be able to get through any competition that they need to.
Definitely. Thank you, Rachel, for coming
Of
on. Really
course.
appreciate that. It's going to be a big matchup for the Rams, so if you're a volleyball fan, probably a good chance to tune in for you. They've got a lot going on this week. That's all I have for now, Rams, but do not go anywhere. Jessica is coming on back here. She's going to bring a couple friends back for the Triple J Pick'em Challenge. Don't go anywhere.
They said I couldn't dream. Called me a piece of trash and swore that's all I'd ever be. Said a bottle couldn't see the ocean. Give up. Go back to the dumpster. But I didn't listen. I made my way. And now, I am what I've always wanted to be.
How's it going, Ram fans? And welcome back to the Triple J Pick'em Challenge. Today, Jason and I have Hunter filling in for Jared, who was too embarrassed to show his face tonight. That's right, because look at the scores here. Look who went 0 for 3 last week.
Hey,
that would be Jared.
Let it be known, Jared is actually in the studio. He just didn't want to come on tonight because of how embarrassed he was.
Nah, just kidding. Jared's actually sick tonight, but let's go ahead and get into the picks here. First up, we have number 11, Michigan, and they're traveling to Camp Randall Stadium to take on the number 13 Wisconsin Badgers this week. And I'll go ahead and start this one off here. I'm actually picking Michigan here. I know they had their struggles last week, but I think that since they went through that, they're going to be a better team for that. And really, I just feel like Wisconsin hasn't played anyone to be able to test who they really are this year. And so they have the upper hand here, and I think they're going to take this one.
Michigan almost lost to Army.
I know, but they worked through their struggles, and they're better off for it now.
Sometimes
you have to go through those to figure out what your strengths are, what you have to work on, and so far, Wisconsin's been easy sailing this season.
That's what the non-conference is for. You boost your morale, and then you just come in and just run over
Or
everybody.
you get lazy.
Yeah,
Or
and
you
not
get
to
lazy.
talk about
Jonathan-
the fact that they have home field advantage, too.
Yeah.
That's always something that you got to
And-
take into
Always
account.
win at home.
And in my opinion, and a lot of other people's opinion, shout out Eddie Hers because he gave me this info. Jonathan Taylor is the best running back in college football. So that is why Wisconsin is going to win, because they have the best running back in college football. And how do you stop that? You don't. And I mean, he only had 101 yards against Michigan last year, but I'm counting on 200 this year and 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, like you say.
Count it.
All right.
Jonathan Taylor's an elusive back. He has many different running styles that he can come out of. He can come out of the shotgun. He can come out of the eye. I agree with that. I think Taylor's going to be a big factor in this game.
Oh, yeah.
Well, we'll see if Jared likes that pick for you.
And that's why Hunter went with Wisconsin as well, because,
Yeah.
All right.
best running back in college football. Anyways, So next we have the Notre Dame Fighting Irish versus the Georgia Bulldogs. That's a 3 versus 7 matchup this week. So who do you got, Hunter?
This is a good matchup. I do like Georgia in this matchup. I'm going to save Jared on this one. He was picking Notre Dame, but I'm going to switch that pick over to Georgia.
Good pick. Good choice.
There's a lot of success from Jake Fromm recently, and this Georgia team is just, it's a big game, so they have to prove themselves and prove that they can play in these big games.
I agree with you 100%, and I think Jared will thank you later. I'm also picking Georgia here. They have the upper hand on the ground. Notre Dame has a really hard time stopping the run, so I think that's really where they're going to struggle. And DeAndre Swift is a beast, so I think he's definitely going to be the difference here.
And spoiler alert, I guess I'm picking Georgia as well, as you saw it pop up on the screen.
But
yeah, I mean, I can't really pick against Georgia because Jake Fromm, he's a veteran quarterback. He knows what he's doing. Like you said, DeAndre Swift, one of the better running backs in college football. And Kirby Smart came out and said, he's like, Jake Fromm isn't that young QB that he was when we played Notre Dame last, and they still beat him. So,
I mean, Kirby also said that defensive line of the Fighting Irish is something that they haven't seen before. So they do have to respect him there, but I think Georgia still gets this.
I think, the SEC is far superior than being independent. And Notre Dame, if they need to find themselves a home so they can play some better competition year-round.
Finally, we'll be picking the CSU Rams or the Toledo Rockets. Jess, what's your pick?
So unfortunately here, I have to go with Toledo. After Colin Hill's injury, after what we saw at the end of the Arkansas game, I just can't pick CSU. I know that might sound crazy because this is one of those games that everyone expected CSU to win, but with the recent injuries and just what we've seen, how the defense really deteriorated at the end of that game, I just am thinking that CSU is going to underestimate this team, overestimate themselves, and I just think it's going to be a loss for CSU this week at home.
No. So I went with CSU just based on the fact that Toledo is not Arkansas. Arkansas, even though they are presumed as one of these weaker SEC teams, they are still an SEC team. So that was, for the game to be that close was good enough for CSU and all. But you got to think, Patrick O'Brien was recruited to go to Nebraska, one of the Big Ten schools, and now he's here at CSU. Patrick O'Brien can let it sling. He was only in for what? Half the game? He went for 100 yards and a score over Arkansas. And of course, you gotta think Dante Wright's gonna go off. And the big thing is Marvin Kinsey has to hold on to the ball. If Marvin Kinsey holds on to the ball, CSU's gonna get a win. But the biggest factor, the biggest one, Nate Craig Myers becomes eligible to play this week.
Oh.
And that is gonna be key for Patty to be able to throw to a new receiver. And
that's true.
When you get a big D1 transfer coming in to wide receiver you got to take advantage of it.
We'll see how they
Well,
change.
I also went with Toledo, and I think the fact of changing up this quarterback situation, it changes everything. It one, your receivers, they're not used to the quarterback, so your route timing is going to be off. 2, your handoffs can be off because they're not used to the running back. Also, 3, the passing protection is different because you don't know which way that guy's going to slide, and they're used to Colin Hill behind that line, and I think that's going to be a little bit of the factor that plays in. Also, Toledo was the team that made a bowl game last year. CSU did not. So
that's
a good point there.
That's true.
It was last year. CSU is a new team.
That's true, but the defense, like Jess said, they struggled a little bit towards the end, and their confidence is down after that loss.
You don't need defense when you outscore everybody.
How are you going to outscore everybody if not everybody's on the same page?
That's what you got this whole week for.
They do have some prep time.
They do have a whole
week. You think 1 week is enough prep time to get everybody on the same page?
He's been taking snaps with the ones all summer.
But I don't think that the CSU team was prepared for that. They definitely weren't prepared.
Well, CSU's going to win, and these homers these non-homers don't know what they're
doing.
You're
a homer.
I'm a homer.
Well, Rams, that's all we have for you this week. But head to our Twitter page right now to vote on which one of us you think will win the Triple J Pick'em Challenge.
Not Jared.
But don't go anywhere because coming up next, Litos and I have a brand new segment. Stay tuned.
Okay, so we drowned the fire, stirred it, drowned it again, and now just feel if it's cold.
Yeah.
Cool.
Smokey just gave me a bear hug.
I know. I already posted it.
Look at you. You're at the top of your game. You're unstoppable. Nothing can throw you off track. Wait, is that your car? Uh-oh. Yeah, I saw that coming. That will throw you off track. You're looking at around 10 grand in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. Let's try this again. Smart move. Because buzz driving is drunk driving.
And we're back from the break for our segment, Real Talk. Litos, I'm so excited for this new segment. Why don't you go ahead and explain it to everybody for us?
Oh, I'll be happy to, Jessica. So, folks, the way this one's going to work is Jessica and I have both brought some controversy to the table. We've both got a question for you. We've pulled some clips out from the sports world this past weekend, and we're going to break these down, see if what we're looking at is, you know, the real stuff that we're looking at, or is it a little bit of BS sprinkled in here and there for you. So, I'll start us off. Jessica, let's take a look at the CSU game. Here, Matt says that this hit on Colin Hill, the one that took him out of the game, he says it was dirty. That's what Matt says for you. As you look at this, is that real talk or is that BS?
I definitely think that's real talk. This is definitely controversial. Mike Bobo just said today that he thinks there was no bad intentions. He doesn't think that was meant, and he doesn't think anyone on Arkansas's team would try to hurt Colin Hill. But the way that he rolled, I think he could have stopped himself, and that's why I'm going to go ahead and say this is real talk. I just think it was intentional. I think it was a dirty hit for sure.
You know, it's definitely a tough one. And as you watch it, you know, definitely some red flags go up there. So I can't say I fully blame you for thinking that one.
Of course. All right, my turn to get you here. Let's pull up this tweet for Litos. All right, Charles says, roughing the passer on Broncos Bradley Chubb, straight garbage. And I don't know, Litos, what do you think here?
You know, we were talking about this earlier, and I gotta say, it's just BS. You know, I'm a homer, like you guys like to say here, but I can't in the heart of me say that that's real. I mean, it's definitely a good call. That's BS to say that that's garbage. I mean, the way he tackled him, it wasn't fully clean. You can't possibly say that. And a lot of people said he hit his head. No, he might not have fully made contact with his head, but he definitely just drives the QB into the ground, and that's not necessary. And especially the way he just, you know, lays on him a little bit afterwards. It's BS to say that that's garbage.
Litos, do you even know the game of football? That was a clean hit in my opinion. And yes, I'm a Broncos fan. I'm a huge Broncos fan at heart. So I've got to say that is real talk right there. And we're gonna have to agree to disagree, I think.
Okay. I'll remember that for next week. Anyways, that's all the time we have for tonight, Rams. I'm Litos Castro.
And I'm Jessica Mendoza. Make sure to follow sports_CTV on Twitter and Instagram to stay updated on all your favorite CSU sports. And tune in tomorrow night to catch the next installment of The Red Zone with Ethan Bird and Sydney Wicker. Good night, Rams.